The revolution is being televised. Past couple of days, we saw a lot of stuff go on, a lot of violence. You know, we see different stories, we hear different stories, the backdrop, different stories, and the back and forth conversations, dialogues, and debates. Um, I want to give you a quick rundown of some of my thoughts, and I want to make it fast. So if you have any questions, you know, we can always open the dialogue back up later. But I want to start by saying that the two most recent incidents that happened, well, the two biggest incidents that happened was the one where the guy was with his girlfriend and he gets shot while trying to give the officer his his license. And not the first time this happened. It's been happening forever. And not saying he shouldn't have knew to be a little more scared, but some people feel like I don't have a reason to be scared. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I got my license registered. I don't have. I'm complying with the officer. He said get my license. I'm giving him my license. I'm telling him I don't have a reason to be scared. I know a lot of y'all out there feel like you don't have a reason to be scared because you feel like you're doing what's right. And this guy felt like he was doing what was right. He did exactly what the officer asked him to do. Yes, sir. I'm reaching for my wallet. I do have a firearm, and I'm gonna show you my license. And then he got shot. He was yes sir, no sir, doing exactly what he was supposed to do. And then we hear the little girl in the background at the end of the video. Be brave, mommy. I'm here with you. Trying to comfort her mother. It's the most sad thing I ever heard in my life. So that's where I really became engaged when I was like the little girl was right in the back seat. Was the girl in the car when the police was firing shots? Oh, is anybody talking about that? Was it a little baby in the car when the police was shooting at that angle? That's very hard to understand. It's very hard to justify that. The only way that you justify that is saying the police officer was scared. He was frightened. And guess what? He's a coward. He was a coward because it doesn't show me that it was a reason to be frightened in that situation. Because obviously the girlfriend who was driving the car was calm as hell. The guy was calm. Maybe might have no. You want him to submit and not do anything because you are unqualified to get him under control without shooting him. Guess what? You unqualified for the job. If you can't arrest a person who's on the ground without shooting them, you're unqualified for the job. This is what the discussion is about. It's not about whether or not criminals do bad stuff or whether all cops are bad or whether white lives and all lives matter just like black lives. We know that stuff is the obvious. Let's talking about stuff that's so blatantly obvious. But the unobvious stuff is where it starts to get sketchy because people seem to miss the point that The media feeds us this information, and the media feeds us information for a reason, and they've been feeding us the information for a reason. Not that any of that stuff can't be stopped or taken down off of the networks. I mean, not that it should, but I'm under the impression that this is perpetuated media propaganda, not pushing us towards a race war at all. You think it's about a race war? No, it's not about a race war. This is a false flag operation. Gun control is the center of this. And gun control is the center because without gun control, you can't get the depopulation. So, the reason this comes to the forefront before the false flag and the gun control and the depopulation is because they're not talking about that. What they're doing is they setting your mind up for a crash dummy case. They setting you up with all this hyped up nonsense that's really, you already know what the truth about this is. Everybody knows what the truth about this situation is. It's not any kind of, so, you know, if you walking into a situation, you want to keep your eyes on that situation. Once you start to take your eyes off and look around, you tend to lose control of what your focus was on. You know, you tend to sink, proverbially or scripturally. So, you know, I do want to teeter-totter into, you know, a biblical aspect of it really, really fast. And I just, because a lot of times we get off of what it is to be, you know, what are we trying to do? It's not that people are out here because we mad and we want to be hateful towards the cops. It's not about being hateful towards the cops. It's about learning to do good. Where it says in Isaiah 7, learn to do good. And it lists the ways you will learn to do good. How do you learn to do good? You seek justice, you correct oppression, you bring to justice the fatherless, you bring justice to the fatherless, and you plead the case of the widow. Those are how you learn to do good. It doesn't mean you're doing good. That just means you're learning to do good. But if you're not willing to plead the case of the widow or bring justice to the fatherless, somebody don't have a father or they don't have a husband, you stepping in for them. So the kids who lost their dad, we got to step in for them. Seeking justice, correcting oppression, this is how you learn to do good. Once you take this off the table, I don't care what you think you're doing, it's not good. You're not learning the big picture. Humanity, you're not serving humanity if you can't see that these are the things that's really laid out before us, that's our obligation to each other. We can't stop talking about Black Lives Matter. We can't stop asking questions every time we see that somebody's unqualified to do this kind of job. It's impossible to stop at this point. You know, it's too far. It's too far to not look at it and say, you know, it's a problem that can be fixed. How do we fix it? Then somebody says, oh, it's not a problem. That person was the problem. Okay. Gorilla gets put to death. Oh, it's not a problem. The kid's mama was the problem. The kid's mama let him jump in the cave. And so the gorilla shouldn't have died. But guess what? That cop's chief let that cop go to work that day, knowing that he was a coward. These people in the precinct, they know cowards when they see them. They working with these cowards. They know it, but they let them go out there anyway. And when they shoot somebody, nobody says, you know, chief of that department probably should have pulled this dude a long time ago. But you would definitely say that the gorilla was, you know, lost his life at the mom's expense. a gorilla that lost his life because it shouldn't be in a cage. Guess what? Look where we at. So, you draw your own conclusions. But I guarantee you this, it's not going to stop anybody from seeing what's happening or stop anybody from, realizing it's a problem. Just anybody who want to have open dialogue about it, feel free to contact me, Facebook, or email at word1978.jk@gmail.com and chop it up. I don't care if you prejudiced, not prejudiced, police officer, gang member, church goer, pastor, member, pew, visitor, friends. I just want open dialogue, people who want to have a rational conversation and not just jump around from nonsense to nonsense. So, peace, and yeah, revolution is being televised.